It's 11:11. Make a wish.
Welcome to Hacking Hypermobility Podcast.
I'm Luna,
And I'm Shelli,
and we're two bendy mamas.
Hacking Hypermobility.
As you can see, we were not expecting that question.
Hi, and welcome to a bonus episode of the Hacking Hypermobility Podcast. On our last episode, Luna and I were kind of surprised by Dr. Wang's question. And so, because the episode was already a little over an hour, we figured we'd give y'all a little bonus content. So, before we get to our answers with Dr. Wang, I'm going to share with you some behind the scenes stuff that hasn't been shared, but the podcast just turned 3. The anniversary of the release of our first episode is on August 1st. We officially became a corporation, an LLC in Maryland on July 18th, which is our official day. So we thought we would share with you some fun little behind the scenes that kind of goes back to what we've talked a lot about here and there on the show, is how Luna and I have this weird connection and how I look like her great-great-grandmother. Anyway, so happy birthday to us, and enjoy this bonus content.
Yeah.
Okay. And we were talking about the label. Oh, whoa. I don't want full screen. Anyway, once you accept what's in front of you, that it's there, then that is going to help move you along towards your personal growth and allow you to get the support you need. Because I think if you're not honest about what you need, you're not going to get support because you're not going to ask for it. Even if you're not the type of person to ask for it, even if you're not, you know where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
So once you have the answers and the validation, and you can start to heal the medical trauma that comes along with this, because it does, that sense of relief is, the relief comes, but then the understanding, and then you can put it all back together, and then that helps you move forward. And so I think most of us could agree that it's easier to face something once you know what it is. And it's not just like a faceless shadow or an unknown. And you actually know it's something, that it's not imaginary, that it's not something
It's not in your head.
It's not something that you concocted. So, and then you get to meet great people like you who say good things to me and make me cry.
Finally, a diagnosis of EDS can help medical research and connect you to a larger community where maybe you previously didn't have a feeling of belonging. If genetically tested, you can contribute your genome to future medical research, particularly if you were diagnosed with HEDS. You can assist with the HEDGE study to help find the genes for hypermobile EDS. So you can pass on the blessings beyond just your
that's the bittersweet part of finding out that you have EDS, is you find your people, you learn you're part of a dazzle of zebras, and you just keep going and scroll.
Yeah, well, I hope you found your people here if you're listening. We appreciate you taking the time to listen to this episode of the Hacking Hypermobility Podcast.
Yeah. And if you like what you've heard so far, we are advancing in our skills. You might notice that I sound a little better and I'm not in the dark this time. But if you could go ahead and give us a like on whatever platform you're listening on, leave us a comment or a review would be great too, wherever you listen or watch. We have multiple platforms. If you want to find out where all those platforms are, because I actually don't remember them offhand, just go to our website, hackinghypermobility.com, and that'll hook you up with all of the places where we are. So yeah, find us there.
Yeah, and also don't just take the time to give a review, share it.
Oh, I'm very bad at self-promotion.
Yeah, both of us, we are learning that to get the message out, even though we're deeply called to do that, it kind of goes against our ingrained nature. So we need your help to help share the information to the people that need to hear this. So thank you again for listening. We wish you healthy hope.
We wish you nothing. I'm just
We
kidding.
wish you nothing. I can't
wish
do
you
this.
nothing. I'm just kidding. We wish you everything. We wish you healthy, happy. Oh my God, I can't do it either. Let me try.
Jinx us.
Why did you? No. Shelli sells seashells by the seashore. See, I can do it. Okay. Wishing you. Well, my name's Shelli. You know how many times I've said that in my life? So wishing you healthy hypermobility with a happy day, zebras. Did I sound like
Wishing. Do you see the weird synchronicities? My head's blown.
I am speechless. What else should we look at?
I don't know. Like I need to save this or something. My head hurts.
We need to, words. Luna, remember how we talked about like our phenotypes and fit, like, okay. And now I just hear you. So, hey, you should go eat and lie down. I'm going to find some more names and stuff because this is fun. What now?
I'm not. I'm just like, it's so.
I feel like
fun
you're
to
reading more
me.
things that you found.
I can't handle it. And then they moved to Chambers, Alabama.
Chambers County, Alabama.
1950s.
Yeah.
That's where he was in 1950s.
That's where my mom was born, in Chambers County. It's on the border with Georgia. It's so eastern. It's actually still on Eastern time because the reason why it was called Fairfax and it was called Valley. And the reason why they stayed on Eastern time was because everybody worked in the mill over in LaGrange, like over in Georgia. And so it made sense to keep that town on Eastern time so that the workers would not fuck up their schedule. And so that's why that little section of Alabama is still Eastern time. And it used to screw us up royally when we go visit and then drive south to go to Opelika to get dinner or whatever. Reservation, like not reservations, but we would meet up with people who were like in Auburn or elsewhere who were already on Central time. And there were a few times where we fucked things. It's insane.
My head hurt.
I kind of like it it's like a rabbit hole.
Like I really am just like mind blown. Like it's just so funny. I want to hear Alex's reaction when you tell him the whole bit.
Hold on, let's bring him in here. Let's record this. This can be a promo thing. This can be something.
Okay. This is ridiculous and totally unrelated, but also hilarious.
Okay, let me get him. And I'll have him just come sit right here and
we're going to have to recap. Hey, do you remember the conversation?
Yeah. Okay, I hear him. I hear the stair. He's coming. All right, I'm going to turn the light on so the lighting is better.
They farmed cotton and corn.
That sounds right. All right, you need to come. No, I'm going to eat that nugget. I'm just on a time delay. Okay. Oh, that was my knee. Whew, it's okay.
Hey, Alex.
Oh, look, he's very bright for this. Okay.
It's very fluorescent.
It is. Okay.
Okay, so this is not related to the podcast. It's just funny.
It's just funny, but we're going to record it because this might be funny to share.
She wants to record it. Okay, I can barely even say this with a straight face. Okay, so you remember how you walked into the conversation last night, how I was making fun of my first experience in Tennessee? My parents moved me down here. I was 10 years old, had no context, left Detroit for Tennessee and went to Mule Day.
Yep.
Okay, ready?
And there was a parade of mules, literal mules. And I was like, where my parents brought me.
Yeah.
Shelli, take it.
So then, as we were discussing our families and like where we came from and everything, I was talking about how I was born in Mobile. And so then there was like a small connection to Mobile and we kind of talked on that. But then we were talking about my grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about my mom's dad, Herbert, who was, I knew he spent most of his life in Alabama with my grandmother, but he was born in Tennessee, but I didn't know where.
Mm-hmm.
Loves genealogy and has ancestry pulled up. And so she's like, well, what's your papa's birthday? Do you know the exact date and name? And yes, I do. And
so I searched it, I find it, and I'm like, were his parents Harvey and Emma? And she's like, yeah. So I'm like, oh, this is his Social Security Administration file then. He was born in Columbia, Murray County, Tennessee, which
that's insane.
Mule Day. She's the mule origins.
It's my origin story, the mule origin.
But also, southern middle Tennessee is where my family is from, and almost all of us are indeed related. So we'll have to see. But
so it all started with us joking around that maybe we're actually distantly related. Yeah, and it's dominant.
Yep.
A lot of the variants are dominant.
Yep.
So on that note, is there anything that you wanted to talk about with us that we haven't brought up? Or do you have any questions for us?
Yes. Over the next couple months as you grow, where do you see this podcast going? What is your reach? What are your hopes, your goals?
You go.
You want me to answer that?
I don't know. We probably have different visions, so let's go.
So our goal really is to bring the voice of zebras to a wider audience, but also to talk about not just our lived experience, but talk about other people beyond just the people on this show. We would like to continue talking to scientists, researchers, clinicians, people in the space of treating us and learning about us. But one of our big focuses currently has been elevating voices of more marginalized patients. So we've talked to people of color, we've talked to people of other marginalized groups, which ironically in heads, men are underrepresented, but experience it. And so we did a panel with, I call them the zebra dudes. So we really want
And even within the zebra dudes, there was intersectionality.
Yeah. So we really want to bring.
Speaking of zebra dudes, check out Doug rocking some of our Hacking Hypermobility merch. We do have a few items available in our merch shop, and all of the proceeds are right now going back to funding us having a website and the tools like Riverside to bring the podcast to you. So if you like what you're hearing and you like swag and you feel like helping out a fledgling podcast with no income, go to our website, hackinghypermobility.com/shop. If you're listening and can't actually see the picture of Doug right now, well, we're planning to use his image on our shop page. He just gave us permission to do that. Thanks, Doug. Bye.
A diverse voice to the community.
It's not tall, skinny girls.
To really give people a voice to talk about one, awareness, but also maybe help drive perspectives, and even what I talked about driving research. I made a post today, actually, which is kind of in my research and in various interests that are very intersectional. It's not just about disability. Facing that problem we talked about with Dr. Lee and Dr. Chopra's article last month, the only way we're going to face the delay in diagnosis, the medical gaslighting, and the medicalized trauma that comes from all of that is if we start to hold the system accountable. So I think us elevating voices beyond just white-centered voices and
we aren't even as white as we look, which is funny.
But we pass.
Yes.
So,
but when we got our genetics done, we were like, oh, yeah.
I think our goal currently has been to elevate voices
that have been left behind,
to have a refuge for patients, and then also talk to the people like you who are on the forefront of this and open up that dialogue between these two worlds. And what you're talking about with, your Congress and just the idea of marrying Western medicine and holistic care. How can we start driving those changes? Because I really don't see us, just all of us collectively in the EDS or hypermobile world, of all of us with connective tissue disorders, I don't really see us solving this problem alone. So the idea is really to bring these voices and experts together. So we have talked about a long-term vision, and I'm going to put it out there.
You put it out there, and I'm going to tell you what my vision is alongside that.
Nowhere in the easy foreseeable future. We have always wanted to find a way to support our community with not just with resources and advocacy and awareness, but also we've floated the idea of a zebra fund, of a way to help close the gap in access to care. And I've always joked that I want to start a zebra commune, but not in a culty way. I would love to we have a figurative community, but I would love to potentially even start a literal community where it's not just performative. It's not just this loose nebulous thing. I would love that. This is the vision way off in the distance. It's a little crazy, but that's the truth about me.
So are you?
Yes.
I wanted to make sure I didn't want to because that is an excellent vision. So alongside that, as far as the podcast goes, I don't know, but through the podcast, I have really taken a stock on the last 23 years of parenting that I've been doing. And I feel like I've been pretty successful at it based on what my children tell me. And a lot of people who have kids my age and, in just a general area who know me, they often remark, they're like, you really like your kids. And they want to be around you. They like you. They're like, how did you do that? And I was just kind of I just treated them like humans the entire time. And I've always given their voice. So So with that, I had started a blog when my son got diagnosed with autism in 2007. And then when he got a little bit older, I kind of took it down because I realized I was sharing his story kind of without his permission because he was like 9 at the time. And then we told him he was autistic in 5th grade. And actually that conversation was hilarious, and I'll save that for another time. But he was kind of like, duh, mom, isn't that why I go to OT? Yeah. Anyway, so when we first found out, I went through this grieving process, only to find out 15 years later, I was, oh, you're autistic too. But I want to write, I have the book swirling around in my head, but I want to kind of go through all of the phases of oh my God, I'm going to cry. All of the phases of my life where could have easily been fixed with something that I did with my kids. And so I'm going to tell like this, thank you. I'm going to tell my story of like just little anecdotes of my life throughout the phases. When I was in elementary school, this is when I was in middle school, this is what happened when I was in high school. And like through that, this is when I became a raging alcoholic. I learned and I taught my kids those things. So like sharing my story and then sharing stories of those age groups with kids now that they're both adults, I think would be really helpful. Because if you get like a book on parenting neurodivergent kids or whatever, you often don't, I don't know, I think it'd just be really helpful to see both sides of the story. And so I have that book written in my head. I just can't get it out of my head. And I think it's because I'm not fully regulated.
Yeah.
Oh my God, clearly.
And that's okay that you're not.
No, this feels good to cry, actually.
Yeah. And this passion project was born out of our traumas as parents fighting to get our kids help. I didn't get really diagnosed until my daughter was 10 years old and had a 9-10 month intractable migraine. In and out of the ER, gaslit. We were told she was just anxious, put her on depression meds.
She was 11.
She was 9 and 10.
Oh, 9. Yeah, that was.
She was little.
Yeah, it was before I even.
It was pre-adolescence
Yeah.
too. And it wasn't until she had been in the ER, like I think for the 3rd or 4th time, and that the migraine cocktail didn't work, that an ER attending was like, I want her to meet with rheumatology. I think this could be related to hypermobility in her neck. And he did neck and brain imaging.
Did they diagnose her with CCI?
Yeah. And so that was our first.
I didn't know if she got that official diagnosis.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember. We have so many.
So that was the first answer we had gotten after just incredible pain and loss and grief watching your child not be able to go to school. And then, so as a mom, you're on, I don't want to say autopilot, but you're on, I'm focusing on this right now. I'm going to solve this problem and take care of my kid, right? Yeah. We all know this. But then once I was able to rest and reflect, and I started the research and found out about Ehlers-Danlos, and we started going through genetics and getting diagnosed, and I started uncovering so much trauma that I had blocked out in my own upbringing. Yeah. And had to, you have
to face it if you want to get better.
And that's not a new story. So many parents, when their children go through the stage of life that was difficult for them, it comes up, and then that's when we face it. But I went into autistic hyperfocus special interest research mode. And that's when I really became just
Luna the zebra mom.
Yeah. So frustrated that I was never one to speak out, or I was very private. And I just started vomiting everything I'd learned because I was like, somebody has to know this. We have to tell people this. And it was the pandemic, so our kids were out of school and they wanted to make a cute little TikTok dancing video, and I let them. And I have no idea why. I started talking about EDS, and then all of a sudden all these people were like, hi, me too. And I was like, I've never met someone like me with these experiences. It was... You think sister. You're alone in life. And so this was born of trauma and processing that trauma and trauma dumping.
God.
But really...
Our first phone calls were like 5 hours.
But really, then it was about transmuting the pain into action, into advocacy, into giving a voice.
How can I take me reactive into being proactive for someone else?
I don't know what all the answers are, but I know the answers are in using our voices.
And raising those who have their voices stifled. I'm good. I'm really good. I am.
So deep. It's so deep. There's a couple points of reflection. Is one, just because you cry Just because you have emotions does not mean you're emotionally dysregulated. It's that clarity and that reflection that shows that you're not dysregulated. There's so much grieving. The lived experience.
We need to grieve. As a society, we don't grieve.
It's been really hard for me to allow myself to cry because for so many years of my life, it's like, what are you crying about? I'll give you something to cry about. Don't be such a baby. You're always crying. Rah, rah, rah. And then it's like, that makes me cry more. And then it just proves their point.
But you know what? Our kids have never heard that.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When I really took Carolyn serious was I didn't say them, but my mother's words almost came out of my mouth. It was on the tip of my, and I was like, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
So our passion really is about making strides for the next generation.
Yeah. And it's already made a huge difference. Just think of when we were kiddos and ended up in the ER and no one knew what to do with us.
No,
there was
we were just
Were either of you military kids? Because I don't know if you had to go to the clinic at Fort Belvoir and sit there for hours.
I was fired from PT because my parents didn't see the point in keeping. They were like, "Why am I paying for this and it's not helping?"
Oh,
yeah. I mean, yes, the giving up, the not having resources, not having knowledge.
I did just fine without therapy. Okay.
My whole family is diagnosed now. I actually got it from both my parents, and seeing them face ableism and all the things that they've endured through their lives, and then backwards, it's I call this traumatism, but this is generational trauma.
Think how scared they were, because I've gone through moments like this with my son. I don't have anything more to do. I'm scared.
Yeah.
I'm scared, so I'm going to call my non-physician spouse over because I don't know what to do. And I've gotten to the place where I'm angry. I'm angry at you because I am supposed to be some expert in this and I don't know what to do. And right now I'm a scared mother who's grown up in a world that says you have to be able to do. And if you don't do, then you're not going to be okay. And I'm scared for you. And that's where our parents came from.
Yeah.
Where you cannot have debilitating abdominal pain. I don't know what to do for you and you're not going to be okay. So I'm going to do, the only thing I can do for you is to yell at you and tell you to get back up and get out there.
Rub some dirt on it.
Yeah. And it gives us more healing because we can see that it came from a place of love and fear.
But we were taught to ignore our pain to get through. And so now we're undoing all of this.
And the struggle I have with what you just said, like it did come from a place of love, but when now I've processed things and I want to talk about it, it feels like an attack. And I've always been very clear with my mom, like, I know that you did the best that you thought at the time. You didn't know I had, because she does not have any type of dysautonomia at all. So, but she still doesn't want to talk about it.
Well, two things can be true at once.
And
she could have done her best with the tools that our parents had, and they could have still caused harm.
Yep,
right. But
absolutely.
I think she doesn't want to accept that. I think that they're not mutually exclusive. And I think in her mind, the Venn diagrams are two circles that don't touch. So.
And
hard to face.
And sometimes, and this is one of the hardest things to hear too, is that we all have our dharma. We have our life path, and whatever they are ours to bear. And because of that, we also have spiritual awakening. We have great things that happen to us, and we have enormous love that we can send and receive. And we can't judge other people for the paths that they've been on, and they may not be where we are, and they may be on a different journey in a different place along that journey.
What you told me.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder.
And that's the only way I know how to live. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm okay with it all the time. I meet with my yoga teacher, Amanda Green, every couple weeks because I need guidance.
Yeah.
And I've sat here crying, screaming, yelling. And then she'll say, "You're not at problem solving yet. Go do some long exhales."
I want to jump right to fixing it because I'm so uncomfortable.
Because I don't know how to not be. We all need that voice.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is we've masked our pain, our neurodivergence, all these things for so long. We need that voice in our head prodding us along. When I left trauma therapy from it didn't work and found out I was autistic and went through therapy again. One of the therapy modalities that has worked best for me, and it really has nothing to do with EDS, but I really think it's good for neurodiverse people, is something called internal family systems. And I don't know if you're familiar.
I don't know it.
Yeah. So it's this idea.
She teaches me everything. I teach her about birds.
I like birds too.
And
we have different special interests.
We do.
But it's the idea of talking to those parts of you that there's a protector part, and it could be your little you is inside driving some of how we navigate through the world. And if you start kind of reparenting those parts of you that were hurt and became protectors, or there's different roles, but you start to fully embody and integrate. And so combined with these physical practices of somatics and breath work and all these
True
other
healing.
things, that's one of the holistic approaches. It truly is. You can't separate the physical from the mental. It doesn't mean that we're crazy and that's the only diagnosis, but they're on the right track by saying, hey, this could be all in your head. But that's not the point. Mental health is never just in your head.
But I only have anxiety and depression because you won't help me with my physical pain.
It's almost like years and years of pain and being ignored and gaslit is traumatizing.
What? That's crazy. That was a long answer to a question.
Long answer. It was a good
conversation. Thank you for that, actually, because I actually put that out into the universe about what my book will be about.
Last year, I don't know if you and Tina did the exercise that you guys did together with the adults in the movement class, if you guys did that with the teen group, the Zebra Camp, or if you just talked to them. But one of the most special things for me that came out of the Global Learning Conference that the EDS Society does last year in Philadelphia, my daughter, Evelyn, got to go to the Teen Zebra Camp. And she was really apprehensive. She's like, I don't want to do this. She didn't go the first day.
Mm-hmm.
And then we convinced her and she went. And for them to have community at such a young age to encounter kids like them is something we never had. And I want you to know,
this is awesome,
that they talk every day. They have developed this deep, meaningful friendship well beyond what they would have with their peers in school that are non-disabled. I look around and I'm like, that's the answer. That was the answer. We're teaching these kids, one, you're not alone. And two, here are some tools to get through life. And yes, it sucks. Yes, it's not fair. And yes, we don't have all the answers, but you are not alone. And this whole community is working on it. They made an impact on these kids because I said, oh, guess who we're talking to today? And they're like, oh, really?
That is incredible. And I really want to emphasize that it is foundational. When we talk about making these kind of impacts, yes, I do this research, but it's coming on these podcasts that really show people what does it mean for their lived experience, because all of this is meaningless unless it really changes lives. And that is, I say the exact thing to my kiddo. It's like, okay, get over that life is fair, because I don't know where that light came from.
Where did you hear that?
Yeah. And you're not alone. And there's tools. There's a lot of tools. And we're not normalizing the pathology, but we are saying, no, there are tools and there's a path forward.
You can have a good life with these things. You just got to know what to do.
And on the other side of all that trauma that I went through and stuff, and not to make it about myself, I want to use it as an example. I'm going to do a crossover episode here. A lot of our listeners have only recently figured out that I'm also a stand-up comedian. And it blows their mind. And
it's like a natural path.
To you, it makes sense. But to other people, they're like, what? You're autistic? Yes, I'm autistic. And I tell jokes on stage because it's perfect. But the point is that I couldn't do that for so many years. My voice was taken from me. My joy was taken from me. And then in that process of getting my life together, getting out of burnout, I realized, you know what? The purpose of this is to use our voices, to have joy, to find the thing in life that makes you laugh or smile. It doesn't have to be jokes. But for me, that's what that I was able to embody the best part of performing again. And so that's why I love, like, that's your origin story. Is our origin stories are parallel, but we ended up on very different paths. But like you said, so many performers, I've yet to encounter a comedian that I haven't armchair diagnosed as, you're at least ADHD minimum.
At least.
And so many of them are undiagnosed autistic. And I'm like, this is almost funny if it weren't kind of sad. But sometimes pain makes the most beautiful art. And I'm not saying that we need to find a purpose for a horrible disabling disorder.
You'll get yelled at if you call it a disease.
Sorry, y'all.
But it does
It
inform, if it informs our path. No?
Yeah.
It's not, it may not be the cause, it may not be the root, whatever, but it sure as hell does inform who we become and what our paths are.
So it was really special hearing about your path and how you found meaning in it. And you validate, so many of us have so many balls in the air, right? Where we're like, something's got to stick. And I love how you go after all these things, like unapologetically. And you said something earlier, you were like, it may be intimidating, but you just roll past that. I think so many of us are worried about being perceived as intimidating or don't speak up. So I love that you're doing all these things, but you're also leading an example of how you're doing it.
Yeah, that's a lot of years of therapy, a lot of years with my yoga teacher and yoga therapy. So we talk about all these different forms of therapy, and I've been in and out of everything. You talk about failing EMDR. How do you fail EMDR? But nonetheless, I have failed. I have failed
my dentist
greatly.
kicked me out. I failed my dentist. They were like, "Please, we're done seeing you. You've been our patient for 20 years, but bye."
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you're too difficult. The failures really, gosh, they sure close doors and tell us where we're gonna go.
Right.
And it's after all these years that I've learned to be comfortable with who I am. That I am neurodivergent and people are not gonna like me. And yes, they're gonna think I'm aggressive and blah blah blah. And yes, doors will close in my face. And because I am a spiritual being in this physical body, I know that as I follow my dharma, I am exactly where I need to be.
And it goes back to those 3 M's, right?
Mhm.
Movement,
Yeah.
medical team,
But
third M,
so there's a 4th M here. What would the M be for this?
mindfulness.
Yeah.
That seems to
That's not
everybody
enough.
says that.
Yeah.
Are you saying mental health or mindfulness?
Yeah, something in there.
Well, I always lump the mental health aspect into the medical team because sometimes we really, love this analogy for mental health. If you have a broken foot, you wouldn't just go walk on it. You use a crutch, you use a boot, you slowly weight bear and advance your weight bearing status until the bone is fixed and healed. Just like with mental health struggles, you don't just not take a pill because you don't want to have a label. You need help at the moment. So I kind of lump that there. The spirituality and the mental health, the mind aspect on that physicality plane, it permeates all of it.
Yeah, it's really
all three.
It's the essence all around all of it.
Yeah. And the individual is in the middle. So the individual dictates what those 3 prongs look like at any point. And in that individual is that spiritual being. And it's part of all of it. And so are you moving mindfully? When you have touch and connection with the manual therapist, what kind of interchange is happening there? What kind of dynamic interchange? And when you go see your medical practitioner, are they listening? Or are they just writing the script?
Right. Because if we're coming into the room, literally or figuratively, what energy are we bringing? What context do we have? It matters to be able to receive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also interplay. Yeah. So.
Yeah. How you walk in there matters. So
Mindset.
You can be crying your eyes out. You can. And have complete clarity and presence. Or you can be thinking that this doctor is going to be a jerk and he's going to not listen to me. You're already somewhere else. doctor
Right.
hasn't even entered the room.
Yeah.
So true. Dr. Wang, I'm almost speechless. Like I'm processing so much right now.
I know. I'm like, I need to like.
This was such a needed conversation. I think people will really resonate like we did too. So thank you for agreeing to come talk to us and recording it and being on the podcast, because I want to see what you have to say and your approach go well beyond, just us, our little community that has got to experience you. I would like to have more people experience these skills and the knowledge and the resources that you bring to the table. And so exciting to hear about what's coming next.
Yeah.
What do we have to look forward to? Because you've given us so much.
And as I'm sure as that research progresses, it's just going to keep opening the door to more, and we're here for it. She's here for it. I'm here for birds and plants.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, we will give you back to your family.
Yes, thank you for spending so much time with us.
Yeah, we really appreciate the time today, and thank you so much for coming on Hacking Hypermobility.
I want to thank Tiffany so much for all of the work that she did at the Global Learning Conference last year. She carried around her cards and had her Hacking Hypermobility swag on and talked to everybody. And that is how we scored those 3 interviews. Well, you've only heard 2 of them, but I'm about to tell you who our last one is for a few reasons. The episode that comes out, and it's going to come out a day early instead of our every 2-week cycle, this week being the exception with it being a bonus. It's been on Fridays so far, and the days change because I do things the way I do. But we decided to release our very awesome interview with Dr. Akila Kadei from Change Kadei, and we're going to release that 31st. July, as you may or may not know, is Disability Pride Month. And one of the things that we want to accomplish with this podcast, aside from all of the things that you just heard, is to show that you can be disabled and be proud of it. Just be proud of who you are. And that's what July is all about, Disability Pride Month. And Dr. Kadei has shared so many I learned so much just from that conversation. We need to talk to her again just because there's so much wisdom there. But anyway, basically, I'm recovering from hip surgery. Luna, as you just heard, is a stand-up comic and has been doing shows regularly in Nashville. And Tiffany's on vacation right now. And so Dr. Kadei's episode is going to be our finale for season 3. So we're basically in all of the places, all of the different social media platforms. I'm working to get all of my items more organized. And I think that will occur when I start writing my book, because now that you've heard about that, well, it's on the internet now. So I'm gonna have to write it, aren't I? But I think going through that process will allow me to actually get my personal website and all of my other stuff in order, because I have been sort of mentoring a baby zebra, a Gen Z zebra, and I haven't been able to be as consistent with her as I would have preferred. In just thinking back and rewatching this episode, I've been through a lot in the last year. So I'm going to take Dr. Kadei's advice and give myself some grace, and we'll be back for probably season 4 on January 30, 2026.
Have a happy day, zebras.
Happy days, zebras. Bye. And that's a wrap.
Okay.
Okay.